All right, so yesterday, this is what we were able to achieve with our fish. Uh, when we were here, we were able to model the fish up to here. Some people have tried it and they're getting there. Of course, I don't expect you to make your first fish to look as perfect as it could be. Uh, to be fair, of course, I have modeled this fish. I've modeled several fish a number of times, so I can get my way around it. So if something happens to you, you're going to have to practice a little. Now, after you have modeled the fish or modeled the character, the next step would be to UV unwrap it. Something called UV unwrapping. Now, UV is just a coordinate. Let me get my PowerPoint. UV is just a coordinate. There's nothing to it that has to be explained so much with the science stuff and everything. UV, it is just one side, and the other side. So when we say UV, we mean U it's just a coordinate where you hear X, Y, Z. Even this one is just a coordinate. U, this side will be U. Then V. That's it. It's like saying XY. That's what we mean by UV. So when we say UV unwrapping, we are meaning converting a 3D object into a two-dimensional objects, a three-dimensional objects in 3D. Because in 3D we have a three-dimensional fish. We have something like a three-dimensional fish. We don't need this fish. This was for demonstration purposes. Actually, let me first save file, save as UV painting. So this is called UV unwrapping, and then what we are going to paint. So after you turn it into a 2D, then you end up with surfaces you can paint on. So you have a 3D object, and then you convert this shell here into something flat, like two sides. Are you here? Two sides. So you convert the 3D into two sides, so that you can take it to a program, a third-party program like Photoshop, and paint on it, so that you have a character which has color on it, as you can see here. So that you can have a character which has color. So to be able to paint these colors and tones and stuff onto this character, we need to first convert it into a 2D surface, and that's called UV unwrapping. So UV unwrapping is also synonymous with if you had a goat like this, when they slaughter a goat, they usually stretch out its skin like that. So this becomes the UV map, the 2D UV map, as you know, or UV, 2 dimensions, from a 3D to a 2D. It's basically, that's the best example I can give you, that when you have a goat like this, you can turn it into a flat hide. It's when they cut away its hide, it becomes flat like this. So what we're trying to do is get this, so that we are able to paint on it. Because you can't paint on this directly, but there are programs, of course, like ZBrush, where you can go and paint on. Then also there's a paint on tool in Maya, where you can paint on a 3D surface. But if you wanted to get into real nice details, it's better to use Photoshop and paint there. Take your time getting the colors right and everything. The 3D brush in Maya is not that well developed, so I guess it's industry people working together to make sure each person has some business. They don't want to develop one program fully. So it's what we are going to do. So when you begin, the first thing you want to do is remove your accessories, like this hair. I want to put my hair here. I'll rename my, let me repeat that. So I'll select, then click on this button to create a new layer. And then click in that slash there to bring me this windows here. Then I'll rename this hair. And say save, switch off. Then I'll click on the rest, right click, add selected, press G to repeat the process. I'm just pressing G on my keyboard. Then these are eyes. You want to remove all the accessories from the character. These are eyes. Don't delete them, just put them in layers. Then we had teeth, I believe. Select, shift select these teeth. Click on creating new layer. Name them teeth. Save. Remove. So now you have your shell like this. Now make sure your shell is clean. Make sure your shell is as clean as it can be and the lines are flowing. So if I right click and go to edges and I double click, so you find that this line goes all around like that. So it will enable us to divide the fish into two, you know, like this way and that way. Understood? But make sure it goes all around, and you can see it kind of stops somewhere. There's a place it doesn't go. As you can see there, it stops there. Yet the mouth stops in there. Let me zoom out. You see these lines? They come in here and it stops about there. That line is not included because it's not going forward. Then also when we mirrored yesterday, the mirror sort of joined the vertices here. The eyes are kind of joined inside. So you need to check this out. So I want to chop that off and make sure these eyes are just hollow spaces, not joined or attaching anyway. So the quickest thing to do is to get a multi-cut tool here and draw from here the way we did the mouth. Then also click here and press enter, such that I have those extra faces there. My section 2, right click, faces, delete off these faces so that we can separate them. Just ensure that these points are one. Just make sure there's one vertex where you have drawn the line. Then you come down to the other vertex. I think it's this one. Yep. If it's one, it's okay. So you can even move it a bit. This is the eye socket. Then this one, which mirror is sort of deformed, we can push it back a bit, so that when we select edge loops, it is just a complete hollow circle, and even this side a complete hollow circle. Then let's do something about this uncontinuous line here. If your fish doesn't have that problem, you can just move on to the next stages, as we're going to see. But if it has the problem like this, like mine, like I told you, this stuff don't cram. You see this line? You see your mouth has a back of the mouth. Even this fish has a sort of a back of the mouth. So the line should be able to come from outside the fish and also go inside that mouth. So it should be complete, and it's not completing. It's leaving some line here. It's leaving that line uncontinued there on the back of the wall. So I want it to be continuous. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to investigate why it's not continuous. And you can tell there are two vertices here, which one of them is just ending abruptly there. As you can see, it's just ending abruptly. Maybe I should remove it. I hope it doesn't make any issues. But instead of deleting it, let me just merge it. So I'll go to vertex, right click, go to vertices, select there, and look for a tool called merge vertices. It's here. I think it's also in edit mesh, merge vertices there. So I'm going to just merge vertex so that they become one. Even here, if they're also two, I'll do the same thing. This one, I think there are two also there. I'll merge so that when I double click and double click this one, it should be a continuous line. It's still not adding together, but make sure they are selected when you merge. I mean, when you go to cut the fish in half, it's able to go all around. The line should be continuous like that. Should be continuous. Should come all the way this side and cut across and continue all the way back, all the way this side. It should. So that line is how we're going to divide our fish. So this hemisphere will be alone and this hemisphere will be alone. You divide the fish into two this way. So don't divide it like this. Divide it like this. But it depends, really. You can also divide it like this. You can divide it like that. So what you want to do is go to UV up here. UV, which we already talked about, those are just coordinates. Are we together? UV, the objective is we want to paint on this fish. You want to give it color. A model is not complete until you have colored it, textured it professionally. Because if somebody comes and they say, we want you to create for us a character with our logos branded on a t-shirt and stuff, how are you going to do that? So you need to turn it into a 2D surface, which you can take to Photoshop or Illustrator, whichever you prefer, and sort of lay those design on. Then you bring them back as an image and use it as a texture on the model. That's the objective of UV unwrapping. Understood? Okay. So some characters, when you paint them, you can do sort of like the way makeup artists do on sets of movies, on movie sets. So they have to do a bit of extras, touch the face and everything, maybe paint on beards and stuff. That stuff, for us here, we call it UV unwrapping. So are you going to go to UV editor? This window will pop up. Let me just sketch a bit. This window will pop up. Depending on your version of the Maya you're using, it might look a bit different, but the tools, just remember the tools. If you have a place to note them. Just remember the tools so that you look for them. But this is the place where you edit the UVs. So by default, this fish, as soon as I go into the UV editor, you notice that actually the other line I selected, all the lines which are like universal, they are sort of emboldened. That happens in 2019 and above. I think below versions of Maya below that, they will not do that, but it's no consequence. So currently, the shape looks like this because remember we modeled our fish from a cube. So you find that this thing is still reading that cube thing, and then we kept breaking it down, but it's not reading this. So what you're going to do, these are existing UVs, you're going to go to edit and delete those UVs. So when you click on here, there's no UVs. Then you position your, let me move this a bit here. You position your fish where you can see it almost at 3 angles, maybe like that. And then you go to let me see. I think we can do create. Yes, you can go to create and create camera based, but also they are here UV camera based. So I usually take them from here, but this Maya 2019 also is fancy, so you can just go in here. Everything was put here. You say create UVs, UV mapping, create new ones, and say camera based UVs. So it will create an exact replica of the UVs, this and this. So now what you want to do after you've done that, you have kind of given yourself a sort of 3D map. So now you can sort of warp it. You can sort of unwrap it or fold it out. So what you're going to do, you're going to right click, go to edges, double click on our line, all of it through. Now, a mere fact these are already thick, don't bother with them. But in Maya, where if you have a version of Maya where they are not selected, where the holes are, select those lines also. You can hold down shift and double click to select them. But this one, ours, it's already doing it automatically for us. So we're just going to select the main line, then go to number 4 and go get that line which we saw in there. We want to get that line so that the line is continuous. This line here. So to make sure the line is continuous, it goes all the way through the mouth and out of the mouth. So I have my fish selected, divided equally on both sides. This is the choice. This is how I want to cut it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to cut and saw and cut. While those lines are selected, I will just say cut. When I cut, you find that line is become thick. It means Maya has created what you call shells, separate pieces of this character. It is not doing it to the geometry, it's doing it only on this image. This is just an image representation of a 3D. By the way, our character is still 3D, but what this Windows does, what this plugin does, is that it kind of makes a virtual image of that geometry, that model, and then you're able to convert it into, you lay it out flat. But that does not mean the thing is also being laid out. We're only manipulating this. So I'm going to right click and go to shells, right click, hold, right click and hold, go to shells, select everything like that, and then go to I think modify, and go down to modify and unfold. Now in Maya 2017, you're going to find all of these lists are almost in here in edit or file. There should be something different here, but the tools I'm mentioning are the tools you should look for. So we select the lines, cut them. Of course, you have to cut those edges, then go to modify and unfold them. When you unfold them, the fish becomes like that. The fish becomes like that. So with them still selected, you can still go back to modify and layout. When you lay out, they will separate the two shelves. Each of them, this is what you call shells. Remember UV shells? This is a different shell, this is a different shell. And you can see even our fish here is responding in kind. So this is different, this is different. So I can use the move tool to select the shell and move it a bit this way, and move it this way. Now this is paintable. The eyes are there, but it's laid out flat. So you can go and paint on it like in Photoshop. There, and then you bring back as a texture and map it here. Now, our fish is a very simple fish. I can leave it here. But if you wanted to even go further, you can go further and start chopping different pieces of some people. Maybe the fins are going to be a different color and everything. You have to keep chopping. So these will stay here. They will appear like that. Right click, go back to object mode. They will stay like that. So they don't affect the fish at all. These are just virtual representation of this fish. Now, I might want to cut off these fins so that I can paint them alone. You see these fins? I might want to lay them separately and I paint them alone. Because right now they are there. You see that part there? Those are the ones. So I can go here, faces, and select the face. You see, the face is in there. It is so small. You see that? I can also select them there, I think from here. Look at that. They are so small. I don't know, I can't even see them. I have to get in deeper and deeper. They are really deep down there. Look at that. Look at that. They're not even visible. So if your fins is going to have the same color of fins, you can just come in here and paint them there. But some people prefer to separate them. let me try to do both for purposes of demonstration. So what I'm going to do, I'll zoom out here. What I'm going to do, I am going to right click and go to edges. So look at this. I double click on this line here, which goes around. See that? Guys, this line goes around. Now, for people who did fashion and things like that, they will know how to cut clothes. There's a way you cut them, so they will know. So what I'm going to do, I want to cut across. Even surgeons, I think this would be very, and the guys who did biology and stuff who used to cut frogs, they would be able to understand the stuff better. Or if your dad is a butcher or yourself you're a butcher, you would really understand the stuff. You know how to cut a hide of an animal. So what they do, they cut around, then they add a seam, so they can tear it apart. So they can tear this way and tear that way. Guys, look at this. You make a seam to separate from the main body. You select that line around, then you select one line going away from it so that you can unwrap it side and unfold it their side, like fold their side and fold the side. It's what we're trying to do. Shift select this one and shift select this one. Let me see. I think that would do the trick. Let me see. Do I also need to? Yeah, I might need to select also this line here. I don't know if it will make sense. Let me see. If I remove this, Ctrl Z, I think I should just select them like this. I'm not sure, by the way. I can try. Let me see if I cut it from there and cut it from here. You know, I want to keep the whole thing. Maybe cut it all the way here. Okay, let's try that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go, as long as you have selected and mapped out what lines you want to cut, just go to cut them. Of course, they are very small, you can't see them. So they would have been cut off now from the body. So you just come to this UV shelf, select them because you know that part is in here, and come modify, unfold, then go back to selecting the UVs and modify layout. So when you lay out, you can include all of them, then you go back to layout. Layout just helps you to put them side by side. Where is layout? So it kind of puts them side by side, as you can see. So this is its own shelf now. So it has been cut away from this thing. You see now it has a small white opening. You see that small white opening in the middle there? That small white opening, that one? It is actually that attachment there. So meaning this thing has been removed and put separately alone here. As you can see, it is now alone. So you can paint it separately. That's the beauty. But it doesn't look like, if you're going to do some detailed painting jobs and stuff, you might need to maybe revisit it. You might need to lay it out a bit better. I don't know what method I would use to lay it out better, but for now, I'm not going to do so much painting. This should be plenty. So what I'm going to do, you can cut all the pieces off if you want. Cut them off, and then you lay them out. So I'm going to UV. If you want to move the things, you right click on them and go to UV shells. Use your move tools and rotation tools. You can rotate them and scale them actually. Then you can arrange them as you want. So you find that this box here represents everything. So just make sure they are not connected to each other and they don't touch the what. If they feel too big, you can scale them. When you use the scale tool, you can scale them a bit. These are UVs. You can scale them a bit. This is a fin. If you add several fins, you put them all over. But me, I'm going to stop on this to save time. So I have this fish laid out like this. I want to really finish this up so that we don't come back to it. So in the meantime, I'm going to be opening my Photoshop here. Windows. Let me be opening my Photoshop because I want to really demonstrate this and finish it up. Now, this part here, let me see if I smooth. Yeah, you see, they respond even when you smooth this fish with number 3. They sort of respond to that. Now, you need to understand where each part is. So we know that we cut off this part. It's that fin there. This UV here, UV shell, is this part here. This is the right part. The left part, I mean. This is the left part. Those are eyes. This one still has all the fins together and everything. This fin, we cut it off. So it's separate. You can cut off all your fins as I've showed you. Now, when you go to faces on here, please know which parts are inside. So you need to come in here and make sure you know which parts are inside. So this part down here is on this, you can even select them from here, is inside the mouth. So you can paint inside the mouth as red, as you can see there. So you need to map them out and know what is what. This is the lower lip. It kind of has the lower lip, and let me see, what is the other part? Yep, it has that. Let me see. Yeah, so you need to map to know where the lip is stopping so that you don't paint outside it. You only paint inside, so you need to map it. So I believe I should switch off this one. Let me see. I want to only paint the inside part. This is too much. So we shall only paint that part. So that inside it's what? So this part, you keep in mind that you're going to paint them as the inside red part of the mouth. So the same thing happens to these ones up here for the other part, for the other half. So you remember that. Now, how do you get this out of Maya? Simple. Just go to, don't forget to save. Just go. By the way, this process is the same process for all the characters. Whether you're modeling a human character, whether you're modeling. So you just kind of separate out the pieces one by one. The arms can be done alone. The legs alone, the feet alone. People cut them, then the head can be also be done alone. It's not that complicated. Then you just give this surface to paint. As we're going to see. So my Photoshop is already loaded there. I am going to go to Image, UV Snapshot. So UV Snapshot, I think this size is good enough for me. This will be the size of the image. This one, X, Y. The image cannot be saved in UV. It has to be saved. UV is for Maya. The image has to be XY. Image format, go for something which doesn't have a background in it. A PNG usually works well. Browse and save in the area which you know you kept your stuff. So in this case, let me go to where my folder is where I'll save it. I have so much stuff. Okay. So much stuff. Character fundamentals. We are modeling a fish 2025. These are UVs. I'll name them fish UVs. say save. I can leave them white. You can make them black or white, depending on what the character is going to be, and then say apply. Apply is good enough. When you say apply, you go where your UVs are. They should be in here. UVs, they are here. It's a PNG image. That is what we need to paint on. Huh, guys? That's what we need to paint on. So I'm going to ceremoniously just right click on them, open with Photoshop. And there we are. I want to finish this up. I want to do this in one go, so I'm not going to break it down. Now, when you go to Windows, Reset, Essentials, I have this stuff here, my layers here. I'll click on adding another layer. So depending on the color of my fish is predominantly white away. I will maybe draw a solid behind there in white. I don't know, fish are normally grayish, no? So fish are normally grayish, aren't they? I will double click in this. Maybe I'll make mine a bit grayish. Okay, instead of white, but I think that's too much gray. So start with the base color, which for me is grayish, but since I think it is her who said, it's Achai who said that she has done some painting. When you are doing painting, you begin with the base color. So that's going to be my base color there. Then I'll get my brushes. I know where my fish looks like. So this is the top. This is its top. This is the top. This is the bottom. So if it's confusing you, you can always go back and ascertain by going to faces on the fish, and you know which parts are which parts. So this part here at the top, this is the top. Like that, that's the top. That's the top. And the other part is what is at the bottom. So you can paint your fish in any way you want, really. So just go to brush, just go get a brush. I think a traditional brush will surface. Get another layer. Please don't paint the UVs. If the UVs are not visible, just duplicate the layer. Just duplicate the layer out, drag. You see, when you duplicate the layer, you find that it becomes stronger. It becomes more visible. You get it? So I'm going to paint on top of that. So I'll be using another layer. This is color or textures, whichever you want to call it. And save this file, this Photoshop file. File save as. Save on your computer. Yes, that's good. Fish UVs. Because you might want to come back to it over and over to adjust it. So I'm going to get, let me see, my fish is a bit purplish. So I'm just going to get my brush and double click and get that purple thing going for me. If you know how to use Photoshop better, please just indulge me. Actually, you can use any style, anything. Let me see. Any texture brushes, you can really do any creative work really here. You can do any creative work, but I'm going to do some simple plain colors. I leave the creative stuff to you. Yeah, I think I want a brush which has a bit of, yeah, a bit of that. So I can make it smaller slightly. Then get in here. And I know this is, let me see. I know this guy's top of the line. It's, I think I should get a better brush. Let me use this one. Reduce it a bit. So I'm on this layer. So I am going to, I really wanted to have it feathered a bit. I want a feathered, okay, this I think might do better. So I want to bring it over like this and paint through. Let me increase the size a bit so that I don't over paint. So don't worry about painting in the sides. If you can't see through your colors, just get your layer a bit transparent so that you can see through them. Don't mind about the open space, it will not be visible. So I want to paint over the tail like that. So you can really do more work. I'm just demonstrating. You can do more work, you can really do more painting. So I can make the fins were a bit lighter. So these ones I can paint all of them at once. Now, if you wanted to do some additional texturing, maybe details and stuff, you need to create another layer, then paint on top of that. Now, the problem is I've forgotten my color. I think I can sample it back here. I think I'm assuming already now how to use Photoshop. Now, remember that mouth we talked about? Also, you're going to have to maybe create a different layer for it. Make it red. You know, a mouth is really not red, it's actually pinkish. I don't know why people assume it's red. I'll reduce my brush here, come here and paint in that a bit. So you can keep adjusting these colors as you go back and forth. I just want to demonstrate what is going to happen with these things. Then I'll come back also here. I think there's a mouse here, the left side. Don't mind the spill off. This empty space means nothing. These are the maps they are going to read. So just make sure the lines are okay. Now, I can even write on my character if I wanted to. I can write on my character if I wanted to. I can just get something else and maybe get something, and I just sort of do that. If I wanted to, I can write. Please pay attention here. I can go to another layer and sort of draw several things. You can do a lot of things, but make sure you're doing them in the right direction. So do whatever you want to this character, really, at the end of the day. Now, before you go, make sure you switch off. Make sure you switch off the UVs. You can change the color of this general color. I could change mine to something maybe more interesting. A yellow fish tends to be interesting to me. I don't know what looks better. This or this? Chai. This one. Too much? Okay. So I'll remove my wireframes, whatever that UV is. I won't take only this. So file, save, then file, export. I'm exporting export as a PNG. It doesn't have to be so big. Export fish UVs. Fish UVs. Where am I? Character modeling fundamentals, fish modeling, 2025 UVs. These are fish. Not this. This is not a fish UV. This is a texture. Texture. Press enter. I don't need this Photoshop now. Also, this I don't need it. What I need is to assign a shader. Rendering, assign a shader, maybe a Phong. I'll recommend a Phong or any, doesn't matter. Go in here and look for it. If you can't find it, just go to edit, delete by type, history. It will reduce that. You call this shader fish. Now in color, you see it has color already assigned to it, as you can see. You can go to the checkbox here. That checkbox will bring for you this menu, which has a list of utilities. We call these utilities. These are things which enable us to bring things into Maya. External textures. I'll go to file, which is a texture image anyway. As you can see, a 2D texture image. Texture file or 2D textures. Click on it. It will bring me a folder. That folder is where I'm going to go look for my textures, which I've just saved. I don't know why it keeps disappearing. I have to go back there. Character modeling fundamentals, fish, 2025 UVs. I have my image JPEG here. Open. When you open, it should be loaded on here. Press number 6 on your keyboard if you can see. Yeah, I think you were right. Anyway, at least it is where it's supposed to be. So you can really paint as much as you want. You can look now that you know where the fish has been mapped. I don't know why I put this, but yeah, it's for purpose of demonstration. You can mark your eyes now, your teeth and your eyes. So you can now keep adjusting your colors in your Photoshop file while you save another image and keep adjusting until your fish is where you want it. So if you had something like a tablet, some people go ahead and paint details. Like if this was my fish, I would go into these layers and start painting those details. You can literally draw anything. You can draw beards on him. You can draw shirts. You can bring in logos and assemble things in Photoshop and just make sure the fish looks like what you want it to look like. All your props you have to like extra things like maybe hats and clothes, you have to UV unwrap them separately and take one image. So notice that actually we have several pieces, but the whole fish is sort of mapped as one. It's mapped as one. So the creative part I'll leave to you. So you see, it helps to leave these fins, to have them separate. It means you can really do some damage to them. But if you don't want them to be separate, just paint them in like what we did inside. Just leave them together. Then identify where your different parts are and paint there. For example, we painted this this space here as inside of the mouth. So make sure you do a proper painting so that it covers. You have color in there, like inside a mouth. The eyes, you can do just simple colors, simple shaders, but if this is going overboard, you can go back and adjust it. Then if you want some coloration on this eye, maybe here, you just go back and find the corresponding faces and paint on them, bring back and map. If you want some gills, create another layer and draw gills, or bring a text image from anywhere, whatever, assemble it in Photoshop, do transparency or opacity on them and just arrange them. Come and map them. This fish can even be a realistic fish. Somebody wouldn't even tell a difference. Really, that's up to you. That's up to you. So yeah, technically that's how we UV unwrap and then paint things in Photoshop. I hope that will help. Go over this and you see